should be on now. Okay. Hi. Hello. Let me just see if I can get this back on. One. That's still muted, right? Come on. Yeah, that's still muted. And we should be good. Hello, heating pad friend. Exactly. Yes. Okay. Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Welcome back to the stream or the channel, wherever you're watching this. My name is Rin, and today we are, as you might observe, discussing chapters 7 and 8 of Juliet Marillier's Daughter of the Forest. I hope to be able to actually see what I'm doing for this. Alright. So, just... Can you stop, glasses? Thanks. Like, just a little housekeeping thing. Heating pad friend is gonna be present and accounted for the duration of this jaunt into literary shenanigans. Because my jaw has decided to go die in a hole. So, this is about the only way that I can actually talk for any kind of duration more than like 5 minutes without pain. So, that's where we are at the moment. Which is fun. Yeah. Let me know if the mic is having a hard time picking up anything, and I'll try and go closer to it and just talk louder. But yeah, that's where we're at the moment. Yeah, but I found that okay, mic is fine. I know I can do the canceling of the stream and all that, but like I found that if I don't do Monday and Thursday, then it throws off like the rest of the week. Whether it's just, perception of time or other stuff, so we'll see how it goes. I might end up doing like chapter 7 today and chapter 8 on Thursday and then just call it a day because it's been going on for a couple days. Or what, I don't know, but that's where we are at the moment. What if you swap content and crochet today? I would, but like right now I can hold it where it needs to be for the heating pad, and for the crochet and stuff, I'd have to like mess my shoulder up a little bit in order to do that. And it's not the best. Yeah. It would be the same situation that I run into when I'm trying to hold the violin, because I don't have a shoulder support for it. So, like, trying to wedge this thing between my jaw and my shoulder, both of which have issues sometimes. It's not a good plan. This would be a better plan than the violin, though. That's dull. There we go. That's. Oh, actually, let's 1 second. Okay, that's a little more squishy. So there we go. Meanwhile, we've got Herbie just chilling, hanging out in there. Yeah. So this has been my life for the last couple days. Interestingly, though, I did. I did. I did manage to finish the main body for Orion. So there's that. He's wearing a couple of the granny squares as a shirt at the moment. But yeah, like, it's got a nose and everything. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure how to do close past that at the moment, though. So yeah, I know Teeny knows. But yeah, I might end up making a version where it's just like the clothes are the body, like for the rainbow guys. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Yeah. So that being said, we'll aim for one of the chapters. We might do both of them. It'll depend. I don't know. Alright. So I've got I've got more notes for 8 than I do for 7. Okay. So like there's not y'all can definitely see that. There's not all that many notes for 7. So we'll see what we get through and how it goes. Alright, first, before I jump into these and stuff, there's a random, is that cat hair? Something that keeps trying to go in my mouth or up my nose or whatever. Yeah, of course it's cat hair. Why wouldn't it be cat hair? Anyway. Anyone have particular observations or particular themes and stuff before we get into it? Wasn't the candle in 7? Yeah, the candle was 7. Meadowsweet, caraway, and rosemary. What are the hidden meanings? I've forgotten that had its own thing. Oh, yeah. Hair stuck weirdly places distract from fermentation. The wine tastes of cat. Uh-huh. Exactly. because that's the resident haiku is just on point there. Okay. So, with the candle, presumably there's an association, like, courting, like with the, sharing of the apple. But also, let's see. Because I don't quite remember off the top of my head, and I forgot to look stuff up before this. Alright, Alright, so we've got rosemary being a symbol of love, fidelity, and longevity. Oh, yeah, there it is. Many people use rosemary at the wedding to bless the couple and wish them a long and healthy life. Couples often exchange rosemary sprigs to promise each other honesty, loyalty, and faithfulness. Okay. Alright. Alright. I know Meadowsweet is associated with, like, I think it's associated with the Fae, usually. Uh... Okay. Cynics maintained that... Okay. Cynics maintained that the plant symbolized courtship and matrimony because of the changing scent of the flower before and after bruising. Aha. Interesting. In Welsh mythology, according to the Mabinogion, Gideon and Math created a woman out of oak blossom, broom, and meadowsweet. I named her Bloodwood. Yeah, it's like, nah, what? Alternatively, Meadowsweet's been used historically for a wide variety of conditions. It's reputed to break fevers and promote sweating during cold or flu. It contains salicylates, which possibly give the herb an aspirin-like effect, particularly in relieving aches and pains during a common cold. Okay, that one was from Kaiser, but okay. Um, surprised to see any kind of like plant anything on like Kaiser's info stuff, but alright. Very surprised to see natural remedies on Kaiser website. Right? Okay, I'm trying to save the info, and it's being weird. Okay. Okay, and what's the third one? It was caraway, right? Mm-hmm. Love the irony of how Sorcha. Come on. There we go. We love the irony of how Sorcha was like, well, he's a Breton, so taking an apple from him probably didn't mean anything. The Lady of the Forest is like, you chose well. Yes, heavily underscored romantic foreshadowing there. Uh, mm, okay. Alright, so we've got two things. Okay, firstly, it's Central Europe and Asia, so unless it's something that was traded fairly extensively, it's interesting that it would be in, like, Ireland at that point. Um, nope. Okay. Typically used as a protective and healing curio, it's a powerful herb and keeps young children safe from illness and harm. Interesting. So maybe an anachronism? Possibly. Possibly. Um, it's mostly, yeah, it's mostly associated with like Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean foods and stuff too. So, yeah. Um, and where is it? Where did it go? There it is. Caraway is often used as a love herb. Chewing some of the seeds before kissing someone is believed to entice them to fall in love with you. Perhaps not incidentally, caraway was also used since antiquity as an after-dinner breath-freshening and gas-fighting herb. It's probably easier to get someone to fall for you if you're not enveloped in a dense cloud of halitosis and farting like a Holstein. Hiding caraway in your lover's food is also believed to keep them faithful to you. Bathing in an infusion of caraway removes the spiritual causes of disease. Interesting. Okay. So there's that. Because the other two, I can see, like rosemary and meadowsweet are very much like of the area. Which begs the question. When did caraway come to Ireland? Okay, yeah. It was one of the main spices that the Romans dispersed on campaign. So that okay. There's a little bit more leeway with that just because um and there are instances of Roman occupation in certain parts of Ireland. Not for that long, but like, yeah. We respect Marillier's plant lore, but clearly it's not perfect. We also caught Sorcha talking about using a distaff, and from what we've seen, that would be fairly useless for spinning nettle-type fibers. Probably. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, because if it's a distaff, then it would probably be working with a drop spindle. And with as fragile as the fibers are, that's probably not gonna work too well. Yeah. Well, alright. So, um, yeah. So we've got that. Does mention thread snapping. Yeah. And at that point, she's been. From what we know, she hasn't seen anyone spin plant fibers. So the only thing she has to go on really is the wool yarns and stuff. So using that, because that's what she knows you use for spinning, makes sense. But also, I don't know. Alright. So, chapter. We have YouTube. She did not. Exactly. Exactly. Like once, if if you're like left to your own devices in the woods by yourself and just told you have to make a bunch of shirts now out of this one material that really doesn't like humans, it's kind of like, well, I can kind of figure out how to make stuff, sort of. It's not working. It's fine. It's all fine. I'll just figure it out. So, you know. Yeah. But there we go. Okay. So, alright. 6 ending with Sorcha um leaving the shore that she was used to, um, the cave and everything, and setting off in a little boat. And 7 starts from there, where she's in a little boat with her like one bag of stuff, and she's tired, and it's raining, and like it keeps hearing voices from the water that presumably are like mermaids or sirens or any number of other water dwelling fae being, really. Or, yeah. Just because water dwelling beings in mythos tend to be either like interestingly helpful sometimes, or like, oh no, you just want to sleep, right? You want to sleep. Come have a sleep. And then you won't have to worry about anything ever again because you'll be dead. So, not really much in the midline there. So there's a storm happening. Sorcha's like really kind of tempted at this point to just like jump off the side of the boat because there's a lot going on. And happens to be going past Red and his friends as they're trying to not get brutally stabbed by the locals. So, like, after Sorcha is like rescued from the water, which the argument could be made that if no one had gone out after her when she's like freaking out because some random dude is going after her, she may or may not have like fallen in anyway. But that, alright, that's neither here nor there at that point. But we find out that Simon, who disappeared a good few chapters ago at this point, is Red's brother. And they came to Ireland to try and find him because he went missing and there doesn't seem to be any record of him past when he went missing. Which isn't suspicious at all, really. The way our boat was filling with water, it was a matter of time before it sank anyway. Okay, true. I'd forgotten about the waterlogged quality of the craft. Yeah, fair. Yeah. And really, like, even for that, I'd probably be a carrack, and those are pretty durable most of the time. But even if it's something like a canoe or whatever, those, like, you try and pilot one of those, if it's submerged, that is murder on your ankles. At least if it's a carrack, it'd be like, in theory, kind of a hide-lined situation. Or like hide and tar sometimes. But, you know, like, ow. Okay, so, Sorcha gets rescued and is handed, like, some new clothes and stuff, and tries to kind of play up not being able to understand the language until they're still literally surrounded by some of the local guys, and it's like, I need you to take this knife to defend yourself. Like, get this thing out of my boot so that you can have a weapon. Now it's kind of like, I'll just do the thing, alright. And then it's kind of, cat's out of the bag at that point. But Sorcha still can't verbally talk. And on top of seemingly wanting to protect or feeling the need to protect her, Red found the carving that Simon made in her stuff, and therefore knows that she knows something about his brother. So, even more reason to bring her with when he's going home. And yeah, so again, the with the apples, it's seen as a token of love and promise, particularly when shared, and also used to tempt mortals to stay in the Fey realm. But, like, because he's a Briton, no, it's fine. Like, that doesn't count. It's fine. So, like, alright. Whatever. Oh, actually, I was gonna look that up too. Okay. So, they're running, and, like, once they know that, they're being followed, right? They're in a Rowan forest, and brambles are pulling at their clothes. So, brambles, you've got obstacles and things, and Rowan is known as the courage of the courage of life, the tree of life, and symbolizes courage, wisdom, and protection. So, they're running through, a protective forest, essentially. Being chased by Alicia's dad's men. And to all that, the apples are pretty clearly magical. Sure, they don't do anything, right? It's like this one tree in the middle of nowhere, and everything else is like very much not ripe yet. And this one, it's like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine, yeah. Totally. I do appreciate though they like it only took them what a handful of hours to realize that Serica doesn't eat meat. So like, right, well, you don't want the jerky that's been sitting in the bottom of a bag that we've got. How about apples? Like, oh, apples are good? Okay, we'll do apples then. Like, she doesn't eat meat, she eats apples. Okay. I mean, accurate, but like, uh, uh, if all you've got for a couple of days is apples, like, it's gonna do a number on your system. Okay. So we've got that. Um, and what's described as a strong druidic rain starts up when they're um having some issues getting away from Redbeard's guys. So they run and find a cave, at which point from the sounds of it, one of the guys' bladed weapons, whether it's a sword or a knife or whatever, something broke off in Red's leg. And the only the only knife blade that they have is this tiny little paring knife thing at that point. They just happened to like dig this random piece of metal out of his leg with like no anesthetic or meds or anything. Ugh. And then the both of them get interrogated by the Lord and Lady of the Forest, which is fun times, just all the time there. Once we think about it, it's surprising they didn't assume the problem was that it wasn't fresh instead of that it was meat, right? It's like, it's like this thing that I've been carrying around in a pocket that's probably all sweaty and gross with lint on it and stuff. That like might be splattered with mud or whatever else, and is probably like preserved with a pound of salt just by itself. You don't want that? Well, here, have an apple instead. Alright. Like, not mad at it. But also kind of weird. But whatever. Uh. So, like, they're getting interrogated by the Lord and Lady of the Forest, and that's when Serica finds out that Red is Lord Hugh of Harrowfield. AKA Simon's brother. And she's handed a candle with rosemary, meadowsweet, and caraway to get back to the mouth of the cave where they were sitting. And it burns through the night. And before they leave, Red picks it up and sticks it in his pocket. So it's an interesting, like, she was handed the thing, it burned completely, and then he carried it. And it there's a certain, like, symbolism, but I can't quite put my finger on how to phrase it at this point. But, like, for... I'd have to look into it for, like, marriage ceremonies and stuff, but there's a lot of things, at least in ceremonial practice that I've seen, where it's like one or both parties has a candle and then they become like one candle or like one flame, or like one candle is lit off the other one, or what have you. Because like in the Wiccan practices that I've been part of, the like one of the candles is lit off the other one because there's a representation of the Lord and Lady present, usually. It depends, but that most of the time when I've seen it, that's how it's been. And if it's like a traditional Christian wedding ceremony, just because those are the only ones that I've been to, it's usually like each party has a candle and then they light a joint one together. And that's the only like association that I'm seeing with this, or like there's some kind of either that either that or it's like a vigil sort of thing, because there's, if I'm remembering right, there's a description where Sorcha is sitting there in the cave just kind of watching the candle against the cave wall, waiting for dawn, and the candle burns down. So the vigil has ended, or the representative time has ended, or that phase of her life has ended, however you want to describe it. And then Red carries what's remaining of the candle in his pocket. So, if that makes any sense. So, like, that chapter's done, and then there's a new one opening. So, I think we're following you. Hopefully, the ramble, because that just came to mind like in the last 5 minutes. Hopefully, that made any kind of sense. Especially because like that's kind of how it seems like it's interpreting her future things from what I've seen in 8, and from like how I'm remembering the story goes. Whether it's this specific or just like the associated legend in of itself, because like the kind of amorphous storyline that I remember, she was called Jenny too. So I don't know. We've also seen candles used in Christian wedding ceremonies. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Okay, so that's the end of 7. Um, because like as the sun's coming up, uh, so we've got Red, who is Q, uh, John and Ben, and those are the 3 guys. All right, so uh, so 8 opens with the 3 of them and Sorcha. So the 4 of them. Um, going by boat over sea, and they end up sheltering for the night on one of the sacred islands, particularly Little Island. Okay. A scene in the cave. The Fae is one of our favorites. Yeah, that is a good one. That's a good one. It's like, are you sure that this is the right person? Like, are you sure? It's like, she's standing up to you and not taking your bullshit. Of course she's the right one. Why are you questioning me? Stop it. Like, yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. And then we've got Ray just barging in and stuff. Yeah. Good times. Um okay. So they land in Britain somewhere. Actually, where? It's Harford, right? Harrowfield? Oh, it's Harford. Okay, one sec. Um, Harrowfield. Okay. Okay. Now, alright. As a thing, I know that there's a lot of instances where people have been named after particular characters in history or mythos, both like historically and contemporary. And Bran is one of those, but there is mention in like trying to look it up for like location descriptions and stuff on where that would be, and Bran is a name that shows up, so interesting. Hmm. Hairfield sounds familiar. Alright. So basically, they land in Britain and spend the first couple of nights at the Priory. Now, we're not given a name for the Priory, but it's the Priory that seems to be associated with um, Harrowfield, presumably. And um, we've got Sorcha kind of investigating the priory gardens and just kind of letting herself hang out with the plants for the first time in a good chunk of time, and finds like what sounds like a full 2 bags of starwort, much to everyone's consternation. So has more material to make more shirts, and is bathed in rosemary oil, or well, is bathed and has rosemary oil applied to her for like healing purposes and things like that. And between probably feeling responsible for and wanting to make sure if she ever does mention anything about Simon that he's there to hear about it, presumably. Decides to take her with, even though basically everyone's saying that just leaving her at the Priory is probably a better idea. And someone suggests Jenny as a stand-in name because she kind of reminds the sister who suggested it of a Jenny Wren. And I think in that might be it. Yeah, I think in one of the versions, or at least, yeah, I think in one of the versions she was called Wren. But that might have been Jenny. I don't know. But yeah, interesting. There's just other than the fact she'd never finished her task at the Priory, it could have been a good choice. Yeah, no, totally. Like, it between the potential for like healing and support and everything else, like remaining there might well have been like, if not a better option, then a good option, you know? So, I don't know. Okay. There, like, I totally get the distrust, I guess, at having Sorcha um, in their house, especially if the general consensus is that her people are the ones that caused Simon's disappearance. But there's a certain level of hilarity in, like, oh yes, this girl, we don't want her near the general, like, good people of the house, so we're going to stick her in this corner by the kitchens, where there's a direct line to, like, the courtyard where the plants are. Because that's the best that we can do for a barbarian like her. And she's just there like, ah yes, perfect. There's a garden and the moon and there's a dog and this is great. It's like, oh. Also, like, the note that Simon's dog has, like, objectively hated literally everyone, and once Sorcha comes through, it's like, ah yes, my human. I have one now. Hello. All of you else can go die. This one's mine. Which seems to be rather parallel to Lynn attaching herself to Simon and making sure that he was okay. So, like, yeah. Her room and her dog. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, her room that has 2 entrances, 2 exits, if one door's barred for whatever reason from the other side, she's got another one. Can lock both of them from the inside. Like, that sounds like perfection right there. It might be slightly drafty if there's, like, a door to the outside and, like, windows and whatever, but you know? Also, I do appreciate that there's a guard, like, pretty much round the clock. On one hand, to kind of, like, probably, help the rest of the inhabitants feel a little better, because, like, there's this strange person in their vicinity, but mostly to protect her and make sure that no one messes with her and stuff, because, like, people can be dicks when there's a bit of bad blood happening, you know? And the idea that it's only ever Red, John, or Ben, like, she was mentioning, like, out of the entire keep, there's only two people that he trusts to, like, actually be a decent human, I guess. Like, implicitly. Uh, Also, just, like, the level of untrustworthiness that you have to have for pretty much your entire family to warn, like, foreigners away from dealing with you. A, Richard's creepy as hell. Just point blank, right? But, like, right, that, yeah. But he shows up and, like, Red's already warned Jenny, Sorcha, to avoid him at all costs. And, like, when he does show up, his sister, who is Red's mom, is just, like, seemingly practically cowering. Like, you know, how you would react to someone who you know is volatile and you don't want to set off. Get why there's strong feelings on both sides, but yeah, the pervasive hatred is oof. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, and the idea that Richard is, like, sexually harassing a 14-year-old who's already been through a whole bunch of shit in order to rile up or, like, catch him out or something. His nephew. Like, how? No. On top of which, like, I realize that familial intermarriage has been a thing, but Um, Richard is his mom's brother, and he's supposed to marry Richard's Richard's daughter. So, like, they're first cousins. That Richard is abusive comes through loud and clear. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Totally. Like, everybody, from the sounds of it. Ugh. And it doesn't, unless I'm remembering right, or unless I'm not remembering it right. There we go. There wasn't a firm note that it was Samhain, just that it was around Samhain, right? Because Samhain is, like, it's known as, the day that the spirits are closer to the surface, kind of, where, like, the veil between worlds is thinner, so spirits, especially spirits who have passed in the last year or so, are closer to the veil, so have an easier time going through. And that's what it sounded like was being described at the end, with, like, the candles being lit and things. But in that household, it's approached and described differently than in Sevenwaters. So, yeah, and the emphasis on the holy days is, like, midwinter and midsummer. So the solstices, not the equinoxes, and Samhain's one of the equinoxes. So, yeah. No. No, it's not. Well. One sec. Yeah, it is. Never mind. What? No. Okay. In my defense, my head hurts, and that messes with temporal things. Yeah. Okay. Samhain's halfway between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. So, about 6 weeks out from midwinter. And the implication that Richard was somehow instrumental in Simon going missing too. Like, he's slimy and seriously, like, has massive creep vibes. And very much gives off the energy of, like, someone who would potentially marry off their kid, and then through some mysterious whatever, arrange for the spouse that was just married to get killed off for whatever reason. And yeah. Or even kill his own kid and blame it on somebody else in order to start a war, because there's reasons. Which, from what I'm remembering of the base storyline, that's probably not it, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised. And yeah. And on top of everything, Marjorie, who is John's wife, is very pregnant at this point, and seems to potentially be having some issues. And I mean, Sorcha knows her stuff, but the other folks around at that point don't know that she knows her stuff, and she's not seen as a trustworthy person at this point anyway. Which could be a problem, depending. And we've got a new name for the Star Wars too, because apparently in Britain it's Spindlebush. I have looked up both of these and have gotten nothing, which is useful. Apparently Spindlebush is like a shrub, so there's that. And Marjorie kind of uses some tweezers, which apparently are a new concept that Sorcha hasn't run into before to get some of the spines out of her hands. And by the end of it, she's got 3 shirts done and needs to figure out where more Star Wars growing, because she's almost done with the material that she got at the Priory, presumably. So, yeah. Alright. It is kind of cool though, because they're seemingly tasked with making sure that she doesn't run off, but also that she's safe. But when she's when Sorcha's moseying around in the gardens and stuff, there's descriptions of John and Ben just turning up with a spade or something to help weed or turn the dirt to help the plants or whatnot, and it's just they're just kind of there, just hanging out. The rest of the keep is you guys are nuts, but they're just vibing, presumably, just hanging out, making sure that no one puts meat on their plate, which, as a thing, right, I understand, I am very much on the non-meat train, as y'all are most likely aware of at this point. But what sounds like early, would it be early medieval? When was early medieval? I don't remember. Is that 900 or earlier? If the phone would ever fully load a search thing. Well, that's a range. Yeah, 5th to 8th centuries. Yeah, okay. So, early Christian Ireland, 5th to 8th centuries. Gradual emergence out of the proto-historic period. Ogham inscriptions in primitive Irish mentions in Greco-Roman ethnography. The beginning of the Viking Age. Okay. So it's probably John, Ben, and Red are solid good guys. They are. They are. Seriously. So it's probably like around 750, 800 CE, thereabouts. In an area that like from what I know of medieval fare, right? You've got some tubers and whatever else, like potatoes weren't a thing at that point. So we've got turnips and like parsnips, carrots, other root vegetables. Sometimes apples were added to a stew. So that's a good base. But then a lot of times you had like mutton or some kind of poultry in there, fish, depending on what all was caught. Venison was a pretty common one. Beef you don't see a lot of historically. Sometimes, like especially for like festival days and stuff, every once in a while there'd be like beef on offer, but most of the time it was venison. And even then, it depends because the how far back would it have been? 800 or so would have been a contemporary for Robin Hood, from what I'm remembering. That, and there's a lot of variation in that, admittedly. But the contemporary for Robin Hood, if I'm remembering right. And at that point, it was very much like the king and or ruling noble was in charge of the deer population in particular areas. So, yeah. Oh, okay. 12th or 13th century. Yeah, okay. Actually, that does line up a little bit better. It's like Crusades. Yeah. 1194. Or thereabouts. Yeah, it's not realistic that she'd be able to eat without any meat whatsoever, as it would have been in the stew broth used to cook the veg, etc. Yeah. Because, like, at that point, you have, even if it's just the juices and stuff, you have a material that is a byproduct of just cooking the regular fare for the rest of the community that is high in nutrients because it's the runoff from the meats and stuff that are very densely packed. So, of course, you're gonna use it to cook other stuff. It's not gonna kill you. It's already been decontaminated because it's been boiled to within an inch of its life. And it tastes good, in theory, and it's got nutrients in it. So, like, even if it's just a pile of veggies, it's still gonna have meat bits in it. To have less meat, yeah, okay. Like, if you've got the stew and whatever else, like, to not have, like, a full, like, leg of lamb or something on your plate, alright, fine, whatever. But, questions. Just as a thing, you know? I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, I appreciate the guys, like, making sure that she's getting what she needs and everything. But, like, the realism of it is kind of not fully there. You know? That's a thing. But yeah. Alright. So, yeah. Because, like, I know, just for nutrients, right? Um, you can get a lot of components, and she seems to be okay with, like, dairy products and stuff. So you can get the vitamin D and A from that. But yeah, being vegetarian is only feasible fairly recently as a modern thing. Yeah, and vegan even more so. Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you are, because, like, in theory, a potato and, like, butter is a complete meal. Like, it has all the nutrients that you can need for it, really. It's got, like, the full range. Or if it's, like, beans, what is it? Like, beans, potatoes, and corn, especially, as, like, a combination. But, yeah. Yeah, in European culture, especially with the, how to say, uh, prevalence of an overcast sort of situation. Where you kind of need to get vitamin D from food because you're probably not gonna get too much from the sun. Uh, yeah, you need stuff that has stuff in it in order to not have problems. And like there are historically um communities that are mostly or entirely vegetarian, but like even in a lot of those there's like a day, like there's one day a week or one day a month or something where some kind of meat is eaten just to make sure that everyone gets the nutrients that is needed. So, yeah. Realized as soon as we wrote that the Buddhists and some other religions, traditions in Asia are vegetarian. Yeah, like some are just strict vegetarian. There's some that are strict vegan. Um, and there's some that are like 90% veggie and like one day out of however much like they eat fish or chicken or something. So, of course, that being said, my info source for that is also an ex who happened to be Vietnamese and uh, did martial arts and kind of talked down to me a lot because there's certain cultural cues that I wasn't quite getting because dude refused to mention what they were. So, being that what it made, you know, reminds us of how, according to the church, fish was not meat. Yeah, like there's what was it? A while back, I heard someone talking about how someone was a California vegetarian because they ate chicken. Like, what? Like, that's not how that works. But okay. Boo and boo to the X glares in this general direction. Yeah, exactly. So, like, presumably, that particular, uh, applies to, like, the only phrase that I remember hearing in that context is the fighting monks. So, make of that what you will. But yeah, that. Yay. Fun times. Anyway, there's that. Yeah. Like, seriously though, between the names and like some aspects of the location and stuff and the swans and the cover and all of that, like, this looks like a story that I read, but I have literally no recollection of any of, like, the fantasy slash, like, folkloric magical elements. But the story that I remember reading has characters named Red, who was, like, the head of his, like, area, and Jenny, or, like, Jenny Wren. So, like, is this a thing where it's multiple stories with the same base plot points? Or, like, was there dissociation involved? That's, I don't know. Interesting you don't remember the lore bits. Yeah. Yeah, like, seriously. Because, like, there's a lot of things that I'm rediscovering that I read in high school, that I know I read in high school, that, or, like, first year undergrad or whatever. But, like, it's like, this entire section just does not exist in the databanks. Re-enter said information, please. Like, what? I think there was a dissociation involved, friend. Right? Like, huh? What? What is this? Because, yeah, they, like, the names specifically, like, I remember. A lot of the plot points and, like, character situations and stuff, though, I don't. So, I don't know. Let me just see. Yeah, no, yeah. Um, those are even the book covers that I have. Like, I have those, I think, on a shelf, like, right over there. I was gonna say, like, oh no, it's fine. Like, it's probably one of those things where, like, there was one and I just forgot where the rest of them were, or, like, they hadn't come out yet. Like, nah, the first one came out in '99. Yeah, no, they're, yeah, the whole thing. Yep. Discovered we'd written an essay on a book we have zero recollection of reading, so we get it. like, I'm not entirely surprised, because high school was a trip and a half. But oh, come on, brain. Oh, yeah. All right. So there's that. just even more impetus for, like, rediscovering where I put my books. Because, like, there's a shoebox somewhere that has, like, probably 3 or 4 entire series that I've been trying to find for, like, literal years at this point. So there's that. Yeah. Okay. Alright. So with that, any other observations or general shenanigans or whatnot? Or not? Because that is the end of my notes. As long as you're still down for the adventure, we're glad to have you along this time. Yeah, no, totally. Totally. Like, now that I figured out that I've definitely read this before, it's like, I'm just in the middle of a, Harper Hall situation of, like, okay, so there's this part that is familiar. Where did the rest of this go? Because, like, there's, like, 3 chapters between this bit and the last bit that I remember, so, like, was I just really tired, or... Dissociation. Because there was a good chunk of time, right, where I didn't see the point in rereading something, because if I thought about, like, the title or certain plot points, the entire thing would come back, and that was the time that I would have been reading this. So it's like, how? But also, makes sense. It's a weird dichotomy situation. Based on events from the last few years and stuff. It's like, alright, fair. But still kind of weird, but like, alright. So yeah. Where's that? Okay. So, but also now you get to have a fun discuss. Thanks, dissociation? Exactly. Exactly. Dissociation. How you reread something for the first time. Uh. Yeah. Alright. So, that being said, anyone have further observations or general shenanigans to share before we head off, or nah? And, like, I'm guessing 8 and 9. No, we did 8. 9 and 10. There we go. 9 and 10 for next week. Sound good? How many chapters are in this thing anyway? Some premium, but come on. There we go. 16. Alright. Yeah. 9 and 10. Okay. So it looks like 1. Okay, so 4 more weeks, it looks like. Sounds about right. Alrighty. It was good hanging out. Thank you for participating in the discussion time and general shenanigans around these parts. Don't know if the mic's picking it up, but there's a doggo having a chat with somebody out there. But yeah, have a fabulous rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you all at a later point. Still planning to do something on Thursday. There might well just not be any kind of discussion, anything, really. We'll see how everything's feeling, so. I don't know. But yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, remember to check out the description for links and things. I will see you all later. Have a fabulous day. Bye, everybody. Had a good time. Glad you had a good time despite the jaw. Hope you feel better. Me too. And my extreme could be a thing. Exactly. And Herbie says hi. He's a very good pillow slash like support guy. And very squishy. Yeah. So have a fabulous rest of your day. Hug for Herb. Yeah. Herbie gets all kinds of hugs. And hug. That's not how you spell that. Where's the G? There we go. Like, it always throws me off because the keyboard on my laptop is one of those that has backlight, which is useful if it's dark, but like if it's not, then I have to like cover part of it in order to see where the letters are when I'm typing one-handed, which is fun. But yeah, have a good one. I will see you later. Bye, everybody. Toodles.